In the annals of medieval Europe, tales of power, ambition, and legacy are often dominated by kings and warriors. Yet, hidden behind the throne, there often stood figures whose influence shaped the course of history just as profoundly. One such figure was Beatrice of Burgundy, a noblewoman whose marriage to Frederick I Barbarossa, the legendary Holy Roman Emperor, marked the beginning of a transformative alliance. Beatrice was not merely a consort. She was a duchess, an empress, a diplomat, and a mother whose impact echoed far beyond her lifetime. Born into the illustrious House of Burgundy in the mid-12th century, Beatrice grew up amidst wealth and power. Groomed for the responsibilities of nobility, her homeland, the County of Burgundy, was a region of immense strategic importance, positioned at the crossroads of Europe's trade routes and rich with resources. For Frederick Barbarossa, already one of the most formidable rulers of his era, uniting with Beatrice was not just a personal choice. It was a calculated move to consolidate his empire's grip over Western Europe. But Beatrice's story is more than a tale of political strategy. It is the story of a woman who navigated the complexities of medieval court life, wielding influence in a male-dominated world. Her intellect, grace, and determination were instrumental in strengthening the Hohenstaufen dynasty, ensuring the education of her children, and supporting her husband's campaigns across Europe and beyond. Even after her death, her legacy lived on in her son, Henry VI, and the empire she helped to fortify. This is the story of Beatrice of Burgundy, her rise from Duchess to Empress, her life at the heart of one of Europe's most powerful empires, and the enduring mark she left on history. Through her, we see the critical yet often overlooked role women played in shaping the medieval world. As we delve into her life across 9 chapters, we uncover not only the political alliances and military campaigns of her time, but also the personal triumphs and sacrifices of a woman who dared to wield power in an age when few could. The mid-12th century was a time of rising empires and shifting alliances, where power was often brokered not just on battlefields but in noble courts and marriage contracts. In this complex tapestry of medieval Europe lay the County of Burgundy, a jewel of strategic and economic significance nestled between the Holy Roman Empire and the Kingdom of France. It was here, amidst the rolling vineyards and fortified castles, that Beatrice of Burgundy was born in 1143, into a world that demanded both grace and guile from its nobility. Beatrice's father, Renaud III, Count of Burgundy, was a powerful and ambitious ruler who had carved out a significant degree of autonomy for his county. Burgundy's position as a crossroads of trade routes made it a hub of wealth, culture, and political intrigue. Merchants from Italy, France, and the Low Countries passed through its towns, filling the markets with silks, spices, and gold. Yet, this prosperity also made Burgundy a target. The shadow of larger powers loomed constantly over its borders, and the county's survival often hinged on the delicate balancing act of diplomacy and force. From an early age, Beatrice was groomed for a life of leadership. Her education, rare for a girl of her time, went beyond the courtly accomplishments expected of noblewomen. She was taught not only the arts of music and embroidery, but also the intricacies of governance, diplomacy, and the management of estates. Her tutors likely emphasized the importance of loyalty and resilience, traits that would later define her character. Beatrice's lineage, as the heiress to one of Europe's most coveted territories, meant that her future would be anything but ordinary. The idyllic childhood of the young countess was shattered in 1148 when her father was captured by the forces of Conrad III, the Holy Roman Emperor, during a campaign to assert imperial control over Burgundy. Renaud III's defeat marked the end of his independence, and the county was brought under the influence of the empire. Though Beatrice was only a child, this event would shape her destiny profoundly. Her father died in captivity in 1148, leaving Beatrice as the sole heiress to Burgundy at the tender age of 5. With the death of her father, Burgundy became a prize in the eyes of ambitious rulers. Protecting Beatrice and securing her inheritance fell to her mother, Agatha of Lorraine, who skillfully navigated the treacherous waters of medieval politics. However, Agatha's resources were limited, and her position precarious. Burgundy's wealth and strategic location made it a tempting target for those seeking to expand their domains. For the young Beatrice, these early years were marked by uncertainty and danger, as her future and her county hung in the balance. It was against this backdrop that Frederick I Barbarossa, the new Holy Roman Emperor, entered the scene, ascending to the throne in 1155. Frederick was a man of towering ambition and strategic brilliance. He sought to consolidate the fragmented territories of the empire, restore its prestige, and expand its influence. Burgundy, with its wealth and location, was a key piece in his grand vision. Marrying Beatrice, the heiress of Burgundy, would not only secure his control over the county but also provide him with a partner capable of supporting his imperial ambitions. In 1156, the marriage between Frederick and Beatrice was arranged. For the young countess, now 13, this union marked the beginning of a new chapter in her life. The wedding, held with great pomp and ceremony, was more than a personal union. It was a declaration of Frederick's intent to integrate Burgundy into the empire. Beatrice, though still in her teens, was thrust into the role of Empress, a position that required her to navigate the complex power dynamics of the imperial court. The transition from the sheltered life of Burgundy to the grandeur and rigor of the Holy Roman Empire was undoubtedly challenging for Beatrice. Yet, she rose to the occasion with remarkable poise. As Empress, she quickly proved herself to be a formidable figure, capable of holding her own in a court dominated by powerful men. Her education and natural intelligence allowed her to engage in matters of state, and she became a trusted confidant and advisor to her husband. Frederick, for his part, valued Beatrice not only for the political advantages her marriage brought, but also for her intellect and resilience. The bond between the two grew stronger as they faced the challenges of ruling an empire together. Beatrice's influence was evident in her husband's policies, particularly in the governance of Burgundy, where she played a crucial role in maintaining stability and fostering loyalty among the local nobility. Despite her youth, Beatrice began to leave her mark on the empire. She was not content to be a passive observer. Instead, she actively participated in the administration of Burgundy and the broader imperial territories. Her ability to manage complex relationships and her understanding of the political landscape made her an invaluable asset to Frederick's reign. As the years passed, Beatrice grew into her role as Empress, balancing the demands of court life with her responsibilities as a wife and mother. She gave birth to a large family, ensuring the continuity of the Hohenstaufen dynasty. Among her children were Henry VI, who would succeed Frederick as Holy Roman Emperor, and Philip of Swabia, who would later become King of Germany. Beatrice's role as a mother was just as significant as her role as a political figure, as she instilled in her children the values and skills they would need to navigate the treacherous waters of medieval politics. The world of Burgundy had shaped Beatrice into a woman of strength and determination, qualities that would serve her well as she stepped onto the larger stage of the Holy Roman Empire. Her journey from a vulnerable heiress to a powerful empress was only the beginning of a life that would leave an indelible mark on European history. In the summer of 1156, the imperial court of the Holy Roman Empire prepared for one of the most significant events of the era, the marriage of Frederick I Barbarossa, the powerful and ambitious Holy Roman Emperor, to Beatrice of Burgundy, the young heiress of one of Europe's most coveted territories. The union was not just a celebration of two noble houses, but a calculated political maneuver that would shift the balance of power in Western Europe. The wedding, held in Würzburg, was an event of grand spectacle. Nobles from across the empire gathered to witness the occasion, their banners flying high, and their entourages adding to the vibrant display of wealth and power. For Frederick, this was a statement of his authority and vision. By marrying Beatrice, he was not only securing the county of Burgundy, a region vital for its wealth and strategic position, but also aligning himself with a legacy of Burgundian independence that he intended to subdue under imperial control. Beatrice, only 13 at the time, entered this union with both trepidation and resolve. While she was still a child in many respects, her upbringing as the sole heiress of Burgundy had prepared her for the responsibilities she was about to assume. She understood that her marriage was more than a personal commitment. It was a political alliance that would bind her future to the ambitions of one of the most powerful men in Christendom. The wedding ceremony was lavish and imbued with symbolism, as Beatrice knelt before Frederick during the coronation that followed. She was adorned with the imperial regalia, a visual representation of her new role as Empress of the Holy Roman Empire. For Frederick, it was a public declaration that Beatrice was not just his wife but a partner in governance, a woman whose lineage and intellect would play a critical role in the administration of the empire. Following the marriage, Beatrice was thrust into the complex world of the imperial court. The Holy Roman Empire was a sprawling entity, encompassing vast territories across modern-day Germany, Austria, Italy, and beyond. Governing such a realm required both military prowess and diplomatic finesse, and Frederick quickly realized that his young wife was an asset in more ways than one. Beatrice's education and innate intelligence allowed her to adapt to the court's dynamics, and she soon began to wield influence in areas traditionally reserved for men. As Empress, Beatrice played a crucial role in integrating Burgundy into the empire. While Frederick's military campaigns in Italy demanded his attention, Beatrice was tasked with ensuring the loyalty of the Burgundian nobility. This was no small feat. Burgundy had a long history of asserting its independence, and the local lords were wary of imperial encroachment. Beatrice's position as a native Burgundian gave her a unique advantage, and she used her knowledge of the region's politics and customs to bridge the divide between her homeland and the empire. One of her first acts as Empress was to mediate disputes between Burgundian nobles and imperial officials. Her approach was marked by diplomacy and pragmatism. Rather than imposing Frederick's authority through force, Beatrice sought to build alliances and foster trust. She frequently corresponded with local leaders, using her position as a Burgundian by birth and an empress by marriage to assure them of their importance within the empire's structure. Her efforts paid off, and Burgundy became a relatively stable and prosperous region under imperial rule. Beyond her political duties, Beatrice also began to establish herself as a cultural patron. The court of Burgundy had long been a center of art and learning, and Beatrice brought this tradition to the imperial court. She supported poets, scholars, and theologians, fostering an environment where intellectual and artistic pursuits could flourish. This not only enhanced the prestige of the imperial court, but also helped to solidify her position as a respected figure in both Burgundy and the broader empire. As the years passed, Beatrice's relationship with Frederick evolved. What had begun as a political marriage grew into a genuine partnership. Frederick came to rely on Beatrice not only for her counsel but also for her ability to navigate the intricacies of court life. The Empress was often at his side during official ceremonies and diplomatic engagements, where her grace and intelligence complemented his commanding presence. Together, they presented a united front that symbolized the strength and stability of the Holy Roman Empire. Their union was not without challenges. The politics of the empire were as turbulent as its vast geography, and Frederick's ambitions often brought him into conflict with powerful adversaries, including the papacy. Beatrice, while not directly involved in these disputes, provided unwavering support to her husband. Her presence at court served as a stabilizing force, and her ability to mediate between factions helped to mitigate tensions. Beatrice also had to contend with the personal sacrifices that came with her role. The demands of being empress often took her away from her homeland, and she rarely saw the Burgundy of her childhood. Yet, she remained deeply connected to her roots, using her position to advocate for the interests of her native region. Her efforts ensured that Burgundy retained a degree of autonomy within the empire, a testament to her skill as a negotiator and her enduring commitment to her people. By the early 1160s, Beatrice had firmly established herself as a key figure in the empire. Her influence extended beyond Burgundy and into the heart of imperial politics. She was particularly effective in managing the relationships between Frederick and the German princes, many of whom were wary of his attempts to centralize power. Beatrice's ability to engage with these leaders on equal terms made her an invaluable ally to her husband. Her role as a mother further cemented her legacy. Beatrice bore Frederick a large family, including sons who would go on to play significant roles in the history of the empire. Her eldest son, Henry, was groomed from an early age to succeed his father, and Beatrice took an active role in his education. She ensured that he was well-versed in the art of governance, preparing him for the challenges that lay ahead. Her influence on Henry was profound, and his later reign as Henry VI bore the marks of her guidance. As Frederick continued his campaigns in Italy and beyond, Beatrice remained a steadfast presence at court. She presided over ceremonies, managed the affairs of the imperial household, and acted as a symbol of continuity and stability. Her contributions often went unrecognized in official records, overshadowed by the military exploits of her husband. Yet, those who knew her understood the depth of her influence. By the end of this chapter in her life, Beatrice had transformed from a young heiress into a powerful and respected empress. Her marriage to Frederick Barbarossa had indeed changed the course of the empire, but it had also changed her. She had become a woman of immense strength and capability, someone who could stand alongside one of history's most formidable rulers as his equal. This chapter of her life set the stage for the challenges and triumphs that would define her legacy in the years to come. As the 1160s unfolded, Beatrice of Burgundy had fully embraced her role as Empress of the Holy Roman Empire. Yet, while she carried the title of Empress, she was often referred to as Queen within the empire. This distinction was not a reflection of her influence or power, both of which were formidable, but rather a symbolic nod to the role she played as Frederick Barbarossa's partner in ruling an empire that stretched across much of Europe. Beatrice had grown from a young duchess into a confident and capable ruler, navigating the labyrinth of medieval court life with a balance of diplomacy, wisdom, and authority. Her days were filled with the complexities of managing an empire where every nobleman sought greater autonomy, where shifting alliances could make or break a ruler, and where the emperor's ambitions often put him at odds with the church. In this environment, Beatrice was more than a ceremonial figure. She was a cornerstone of stability, one of the empire's most valuable assets. At the imperial court, Beatrice quickly became known for her ability to mediate disputes and build consensus among the nobility. This was no small feat, as the German princes who formed the backbone of the empire often chafed against Frederick's centralizing tendencies. Beatrice, with her grace and tact, became a trusted intermediary. She was adept at using her unique position, both as Frederick's wife and as a native of Burgundy, to ease tensions and forge alliances. It was said that her presence at negotiations often turned heated arguments into reasoned discussions, a skill that Frederick relied on as his ambitions grew. Her influence extended beyond diplomacy. Beatrice played a crucial role in managing the imperial household, which was not merely a residence but a sprawling institution that reflected the power and prestige of the empire. As the overseer of courtly ceremonies and rituals, she set the tone for the imperial court. Every detail, from the way foreign envoys were received to the lavish banquets held in the emperor's honor, carried her mark. These events were more than displays of wealth. They were carefully orchestrated demonstrations of the empire's strength and unity, and Beatrice ensured they were executed flawlessly. Beatrice's influence was also felt in the realm of culture. The court of Frederick Barbarossa, enriched by her patronage, became a beacon of intellectual and artistic achievement. Inspired by the traditions of her native Burgundy, she encouraged the flourishing of poetry, music, and religious scholarship. Under her guidance, the court attracted some of the finest minds of the age, including theologians, chroniclers, and artisans, These cultural pursuits were not mere luxuries. They served to legitimize Frederick's reign and project an image of the Holy Roman Empire as a unified and enlightened power. However, Beatrice's role was not without challenges. The empire was vast, and its territories were often restless. In the Italian city-states, Frederick's attempts to assert imperial authority met fierce resistance. Milan, in particular, became a flashpoint of rebellion, forcing Frederick to launch multiple campaigns to bring the city under control. While Beatrice did not accompany him on these military expeditions, she played a critical role at home, managing the empire in his absence and maintaining the support of the German princes, whose resources were essential to the emperor's campaigns. Her work behind the scenes was pivotal during this turbulent period. Beatrice ensured that Frederick's absence from the German heartlands did not weaken his hold over the empire. She corresponded with regional leaders, addressed their concerns, and mediated disputes, all while managing the day-to-day operations of the imperial court. Her ability to maintain order and foster loyalty allowed Frederick to focus on his military objectives, secure in the knowledge that the empire's foundations remained stable. As Frederick waged war in Italy, Beatrice also turned her attention to Burgundy, her ancestral homeland. Though technically under imperial control, Burgundy retained a distinct identity, and its nobles valued their autonomy. Beatrice's dual identity as both a Burgundian and an empress made her uniquely qualified to navigate the region's complex politics. She worked tirelessly to integrate Burgundy into the empire while respecting its traditions and privileges. Through a combination of diplomacy and strategic appointments, she secured the loyalty of key Burgundian families, ensuring that the region remained a valuable asset to the Hohenstaufen dynasty. Despite the demands of her political and administrative responsibilities, Beatrice also found time to nurture her growing family. By the 1160s, she and Frederick had several children, including their eldest son, Henry VI, who was being groomed to succeed his father as Holy Roman Emperor. Beatrice took an active role in her children's education, ensuring they were prepared for the responsibilities of leadership. She instilled in them the values of loyalty, resilience, and faith, qualities that would define their futures. Her influence on Henry was particularly significant, as he would later carry forward the Hohenstaufen legacy. The bond between Beatrice and Frederick grew stronger during these years. While their marriage had begun as a political alliance, it had evolved into a genuine partnership. Frederick V valued Beatrice not only for her political acumen but also for her unwavering support and counsel. Their relationship was marked by mutual respect, and Frederick often sought her advice on matters of state. Beatrice's insights, shaped by her experiences in Burgundy and her deep understanding of the empire's inner workings, proved invaluable as Frederick navigated the challenges of his reign. As the 1160s came to a close, Beatrice's role as Empress had become firmly established. She was no longer the young bride who had entered the imperial court a decade earlier. She was a seasoned leader, a mother, and a symbol of unity for the empire. Her contributions, though often overshadowed by Frederick's military exploits, were vital to the stability and success of the Holy Roman Empire. While Frederick's campaigns in Italy and his conflicts with the papacy would dominate the next phase of their lives, Beatrice's steadfast presence and influence would continue to shape the course of history. By the early 1170s, Beatrice of Burgundy had firmly established herself as a vital figure in the Holy Roman Empire, not only as empress but as the matriarch of a dynasty that would shape the course of European history. Her marriage to Frederick Barbarossa had been a political alliance, but over the years, it had grown into a partnership marked by mutual respect and shared ambition. Yet, one of her most enduring legacies would be her role as a mother, raising children who would carry the Hohenstaufen name into the annals of history. The imperial court was not just the center of political power. It was also a crucible where the next generation of rulers was forged. Beatrice bore 12 children, though not all survived to adulthood, a harsh reality of medieval life. Among those who did, Her sons would carry on the Hohenstaufen legacy, and her daughters would forge alliances with some of Europe's most powerful families. Beatrice's influence on her children was profound, as she took an active role in their education and upbringing, ensuring they were prepared to navigate the treacherous waters of medieval politics. Her eldest son, Henry VI, was born in 1165 and immediately became the focus of her maternal and political ambitions. As the heir to the Holy Roman Empire, Henry was destined for greatness, but his path was fraught with challenges. Beatrice understood that the survival of the dynasty depended on Henry's ability to command respect and wield power effectively. From an early age, she ensured that he was surrounded by the finest tutors, learning not only the art of governance but also the military and diplomatic skills necessary to lead an empire. Beatrice's approach to Henry's education reflected her own experiences. She emphasized the importance of loyalty and adaptability, qualities that had served her well as Empress. She also instilled in him a sense of duty, not just to the empire but to the Hohenstaufen legacy. Under her guidance, Henry grew into a capable and confident young man, embodying the values that Beatrice had sought to impart. As Henry matured, Beatrice began to involve him in the affairs of state. He accompanied his father on campaigns and participated in diplomatic negotiations. Gaining first-hand experience in the workings of the empire, Beatrice often provided counsel during these formative years, offering insights that shaped Henry's understanding of leadership. Her influence was evident in his approach to governance, which combined pragmatism with a deep respect for tradition. While Henry was the focus of much of her attention, Beatrice did not neglect her other children. Her second son, Frederick V, Duke of Swabia, was groomed to be a key ally to his elder brother. Managing one of the most important duchies in the empire, Beatrice's third son, Philip of Swabia, would later become King of Germany, further cementing the Hohenstaufen dynasty's hold on power. Each of her children benefited from her guidance, as she worked tirelessly to secure their futures and strengthen the family's position within the empire. Beatrice's role as a mother extended beyond the walls of the imperial palace. She saw her daughters as valuable assets in the empire's diplomatic strategy, arranging marriages that would forge alliances with powerful families across Europe. These unions not only expanded the Hohenstaufen sphere of influence but also created a network of allies who could be called upon in times of need. Through her daughters, Beatrice helped to weave a web of connections that spanned the continent, ensuring that the empire remained at the center of European politics. As her children grew, Beatrice faced the challenge of balancing her maternal instincts with the demands of statecraft. While she was deeply invested in their well-being, she understood that their lives were inextricably tied to the fortunes of the empire. This tension was particularly evident in her relationship with Henry, whose responsibilities as heir often placed him in peril. Beatrice worried about the dangers he faced, but she also recognized that his success was essential to the dynasty's survival. Her role as a mother was not without sacrifices. The constant demands of the empire often kept her away from her children, and she relied on trusted advisors and attendants to ensure their upbringing when she was absent. Yet, even from a distance, her influence was felt. Beatrice maintained a close correspondence with her children, offering advice and encouragement that reflected her deep love and unwavering commitment to their futures. The bond between Beatrice and her children was particularly evident during times of crisis. When Frederick launched his campaigns in Italy, Beatrice played a crucial role in maintaining the stability of the empire, ensuring that her sons were prepared to step into leadership roles if needed. She also acted as a mediator during disputes, using her position as both a mother and an empress to foster unity within the family and the court. One of the most poignant moments of her life came when Henry was crowned King of the Romans in 1169, a title that marked him as his father's successor. The coronation was a moment of triumph for Beatrice, a validation of her efforts to prepare Henry for his future role. Yet, it was also a reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. As Henry took on greater responsibilities, Beatrice's guidance became even more critical, as she sought to balance his ambitions with the realities of ruling a vast and often unruly empire. Beatrice's influence extended beyond her immediate family. She was a patron of education and culture, fostering an environment that emphasized the importance of learning and intellectual achievement. This commitment to education shaped her children's values, as they grew up in a court that celebrated knowledge and innovation. Beatrice's efforts ensured that the Hohenstaufen dynasty was not only a political and military powerhouse but also a center of cultural and intellectual life. As the years passed, Beatrice's role as a mother and empress became increasingly intertwined. Her ability to nurture and guide her children was matched by her skill in navigating the complexities of the imperial court. She remained a constant presence in their lives, offering support and wisdom as they stepped into roles that would define their own legacies. Her influence was particularly evident in Henry, whose reign as Holy Roman Emperor would bear the marks of his mother's teachings. Beatrice's legacy as a mother was not limited to her own time. Her children carried forward the values and principles she had instilled in them, shaping the course of European history for generations to come. Through her sons and daughters, she ensured that the Hohenstaufen name would endure, a testament to her strength, intelligence, and unwavering dedication to her family and the empire. In the twilight of her life, as her children grew into leaders in their own right, Beatrice could take pride in the dynasty she had helped to build. Her journey from a young duchess in Burgundy to the matriarch of one of Europe's most powerful families was a testament to her resilience and vision. Though history often remembers the deeds of kings and emperors, the story of Beatrice of Burgundy reminds us of the vital role that women played in shaping the medieval world. By the late 1170s, Beatrice of Burgundy had become a towering figure in the political and cultural landscape of the Holy Roman Empire. Her position as empress and her influence as the matriarch of the Hohenstaufen dynasty were well established. But her connection to her homeland of Burgundy remained central to her identity and her role within the empire. As the daughter and sole heiress of Renaud III, Count of Burgundy, she understood the intricate dynamics of the region, its wealth, its strategic importance, and its fiercely independent nobles. These qualities made Burgundy both a jewel in the imperial crown and a constant source of challenges. Burgundy was a region unlike any other in the empire. Nestled between France and the Holy Roman Empire, it occupied a vital crossroads of trade routes, linking northern and southern Europe. Its towns buzzed with commerce, its fields yielded bountiful harvests, and its vineyards produced wine that was coveted across the continent. But its prosperity was matched by its stubborn streak of independence. The Burgundian nobility, proud of their heritage and wary of outside influence, often resisted imperial authority. For Beatrice, managing this delicate balance was both a personal mission and a political necessity. From the moment of her marriage to Frederick Barbarossa, Beatrice had worked tirelessly to integrate Burgundy into the empire, while Frederick's military campaigns in Italy and Germany demanded his attention. He entrusted Beatrice with the task of consolidating imperial control over her homeland. This was no small feat, as the region's nobles were accustomed to a degree of autonomy that often bordered on defiance. Beatrice, however, was uniquely suited to the challenge. As a native Burgundian, she understood the local customs and power structures, and she used this knowledge to build alliances and foster loyalty. One of Beatrice's greatest strengths was her ability to navigate the complex relationships among Burgundy's noble families. She knew that outright coercion would only breed resentment, so she adopted a more nuanced approach. Through strategic marriages, land grants, and personal diplomacy, she secured the allegiance of key figures, ensuring that Burgundy remained a stable and valuable part of the empire. Her efforts were not always met with immediate success. There were moments of tension and rebellion, but her persistence and pragmatism ultimately prevailed. Beatrice's influence in Burgundy extended beyond politics. She was deeply committed to the region's cultural and economic development, and she used her position as empress to promote its prosperity. Under her guidance, The Burgundian court became a hub of artistic and intellectual activity, attracting poets, scholars, and craftsmen from across Europe. This cultural flourishing not only enhanced Burgundy's prestige but also reinforced its ties to the empire, as the region's elites became active participants in the broader Hohenstaufen network. The economic vitality of Burgundy was another area where Beatrice left her mark, recognizing the region's potential as a center of trade and commerce. She worked to strengthen its infrastructure and expand its markets. She supported the construction of roads and bridges, facilitating the movement of goods and people. She also encouraged the growth of fairs and markets, which brought merchants from distant lands to Burgundy's towns. These efforts not only enriched the region but also strengthened its integration into the imperial economy, ensuring that its wealth flowed into the coffers of the Hohenstaufen dynasty. Beatrice's role in Burgundy was not without challenges. The region's proximity to France meant that it was often caught in the crosscurrents of Franco-imperial rivalry. French kings, eager to expand their influence, frequently sought to undermine imperial control over Burgundy. Beatrice, however, proved to be a formidable adversary. Her deep ties to the region and her skillful diplomacy allowed her to counter French incursions and maintain Burgundy's loyalty to the empire. One of the most significant moments in Beatrice's tenure as Empress came in 1178, when Frederick Barbarossa convened a grand assembly in Besançon, one of Burgundy's most important cities. The assembly was a show of imperial strength and unity, attended by nobles, bishops, and dignitaries from across the empire. Beatrice played a central role in organizing the event, ensuring that it showcased Burgundy's importance within the Hohenstaufen realm. The assembly was a triumph for Frederick and Beatrice, reaffirming their authority and reinforcing Burgundy's place in the imperial order. Despite her successes, Beatrice's relationship with Burgundy was not without its complexities. While she had worked tirelessly to bring the region under imperial control, she remained deeply attached to its unique identity and traditions. This dual loyalty sometimes placed her in a difficult position, as she sought to balance the interests of her homeland with the demands of the empire. Yet, it was precisely this ability to bridge two worlds that made her such an effective ruler. She was both a Burgundian and an empress, and she used this dual identity to her advantage. As the 1170s gave way to the 1180s, Beatrice's influence in Burgundy remained strong, even as her focus shifted increasingly to the broader challenges facing the empire. Her efforts in her homeland had laid the foundation for a stable and prosperous region, one that would continue to play a vital role in the Hohenstaufen dynasty's fortunes. More importantly, her work in Burgundy demonstrated the depth of her political acumen and her unwavering commitment to the empire. Beatrice's legacy in Burgundy was not only one of political consolidation, but also one of cultural and economic vitality. She had transformed the region into a model of imperial governance, balancing the demands of local autonomy with the need for centralized control. Through her vision and determination, she had ensured that Burgundy remained a jewel in the Hohenstaufen crown, a testament to her skill as a leader and her love for her homeland. As Beatrice looked to the future, she could take pride in what she had accomplished in Burgundy. Her homeland, once a vulnerable prize in the empire's expansion, had become a pillar of strength and stability. Yet, she knew that her work was far from over. The challenges facing the Holy Roman Empire were immense, and the next chapter of her life would require all the strength, wisdom, and resilience she had cultivated over the years. The story of Beatrice of Burgundy was far from finished, and her impact on the medieval world was only beginning to unfold. The 1180s marked a turning point for Beatrice of Burgundy and Frederick Barbarossa as the Holy Roman Empire faced both new opportunities and grave challenges. Frederick's reign had been defined by his relentless pursuit of power and unity across his sprawling territories. But the call to the Third Crusade would soon redirect his ambitions to a cause that transcended empire and personal legacy. For Beatrice, this period brought a mixture of pride, anxiety, and unyielding duty as she prepared to support her husband in one of the most ambitious endeavors of his life. By 1187, the Christian world was reeling from the fall of Jerusalem to Saladin, the Sultan of Egypt and Syria. The Holy City, which had been under Christian control since the First Crusade nearly a century earlier, now lay in the hands of Muslim forces. News of this defeat sent shockwaves through Europe, igniting a fervor for its recovery. Pope Gregory VIII issued a passionate call for a new crusade, urging the kings and princes of Christendom to take up the cross and reclaim Jerusalem. For Frederick Barbarossa, now in his 60s, the crusade offered an opportunity to solidify his legacy as not only a ruler but a defender of Christendom. Despite his advanced age, Frederick's reputation as a military leader remained unmatched. His decision to join the crusade was both a demonstration of his enduring strength and a testament to his deep-seated faith. The empire's resources, however, would be stretched to their limits, and the preparations for such a massive undertaking required the full cooperation of the imperial court. Beatrice, as Empress, played a central role in these preparations. While Frederick focused on rallying troops and securing alliances, Beatrice managed the domestic affairs of the empire, ensuring stability during his impending absence. Her responsibilities were immense, as she worked tirelessly to maintain the loyalty of the nobility, secure funding for the campaign, and oversee the logistics of imperial governance. She also took on the emotional labor of preparing their family for Frederick's departure, offering support and reassurance to their children, who were keenly aware of the risks their father faced. One of Beatrice's greatest challenges during this time was managing the political factions within the empire. Frederick's decision to leave for the crusade left a power vacuum that could easily be exploited by ambitious nobles. Beatrice's diplomatic skills were put to the test as she sought to maintain unity and prevent any disruptions that might weaken the empire's ability to support the crusade. Her efforts were aided by her eldest son, Henry VI, who had already begun to take on greater responsibilities within the imperial court. Beatrice's guidance ensured that Henry was well prepared to act as regent in his father's absence, a role that would test his leadership and loyalty. As Frederick's departure drew closer, the imperial court was consumed by a sense of both anticipation and trepidation. The preparations for the crusade were unparalleled in scale, involving tens of thousands of soldiers, supplies, and equipment. Beatrice oversaw the collection of resources, coordinating efforts across the empire to provide for the army's needs. Her organizational prowess was crucial to the success of this endeavor, as she ensured that the empire's contributions to the crusade were not only sufficient but exemplary. Despite the monumental task of managing the empire, Beatrice also turned her attention to the spiritual dimensions of the crusade. She worked closely with the church to promote the crusade as a sacred duty, using her influence to rally support among the nobility and the clergy. Beatrice herself was deeply devout, and her faith played a significant role in her ability to inspire others. Her speeches and letters emphasized the spiritual rewards of the crusade, appealing to the piety of those who might otherwise be hesitant to commit their resources or lives to the cause. When the time came for Frederick to leave, the farewell was both solemn and poignant. Beatrice stood alongside him as he addressed the imperial court, reaffirming his commitment to the crusade and his trust in those he left behind. Their parting was a testament to their partnership. While Frederick embarked on his journey to reclaim Jerusalem, Beatrice remained the steadfast anchor of the empire, ensuring that his absence would not lead to chaos or decline. Frederick's departure in 1189 marked the beginning of one of the most ambitious military campaigns of the medieval era. Leading an army of tens of thousands, he embarked on a journey that would take him across Europe and into the heart of the Middle East. The path to Jerusalem was fraught with challenges, from logistical difficulties to political tensions with other crusading leaders, such as Richard the Lionheart of England and Philip II of France. Back in the empire, Beatrice's role as empress became even more critical. With Frederick's army far from home, the stability of the Holy Roman Empire depended on her ability to maintain order and address the needs of its people. she continued to work closely with Henry VI, who acted as regent, guiding him through the complexities of governance and ensuring that he upheld the values and vision of his father. Beatrice's correspondence with Frederick during this time reveals the depth of her involvement in the empire's affairs, as well as her unwavering support for his mission. Tragically, Frederick's crusade ended not in triumph but in heartbreak. In June 1190, as his army marched through modern-day Turkey, Frederick drowned while crossing the Salif River, now the Göksu River. His death was a devastating blow to the crusade and a profound personal loss for Beatrice and their family. The news reached the imperial court months later, plunging the empire into mourning. Beatrice, though grief-stricken, remained a pillar of strength for her children and the court, ensuring that the transition of power to Henry VI was smooth and uncontested. Frederick's death marked the end of an era, but it also highlighted the enduring legacy of his partnership with Beatrice. Her efforts during the preparations for the crusade and her management of the empire in his absence had ensured that the Hohenstaufen dynasty remained strong despite the loss of its patriarch. In the years that followed, Beatrice would continue to play a vital role in the empire, supporting her son as he ascended to the throne and carried forward the ambitions of his father. The road to Jerusalem had been paved with sacrifice and determination, and while Frederick did not live to see its end, his journey had reaffirmed the values of faith, loyalty, and resilience that defined his reign. For Beatrice, the crusade was a testament to her strength and commitment as Empress, a reminder that her role extended far beyond the confines of courtly life. She had been, and would continue to be, the foundation upon which the Hohenstaufen dynasty was built. The death of Frederick Barbarossa in 1190 marked a seismic shift in the Holy Roman Empire. His passing left the empire without its towering leader. And for Beatrice of Burgundy, it signaled the final chapter of her life as Empress. Though she had served faithfully as Frederick's partner in ruling the empire, she now faced the challenge of navigating an uncertain future, not as the Empress beside her husband, but as the matriarch of a dynasty that stood at a crossroads. Beatrice's grief was profound. Frederick's death in the Salif River during the Third Crusade was sudden and unexpected, robbing her not only of her husband, but also of the stabilizing force that had held the empire together for decades. Yet, as she mourned, Beatrice recognized that her role was far from over. The empire needed her guidance, her family needed her wisdom, and the memory of Frederick's legacy needed to be preserved. At the heart of the empire's future was her eldest son, Henry VI, who had already begun to assume the mantle of leadership as King of the Romans. Henry was crowned Holy Roman Emperor in 1191, a year after his father's death, and the weight of the empire now rested firmly on his shoulders. Beatrice played a crucial role in supporting her son during this transition, offering counsel and acting as a steadying influence amid the turbulence of imperial politics. Though Beatrice had always worked to prepare Henry for leadership, the challenges he faced as emperor were immense. Frederick's death had left the crusade incomplete, and the empire was grappling with the financial strain of years of military campaigns. Meanwhile, the princes of the empire, many of whom had supported Frederick out of loyalty and respect, were less inclined to offer the same deference to his son. Henry's reign would be defined by his efforts to consolidate power and assert the authority of the Hohenstaufen dynasty, a task made more difficult by the growing tensions with the papacy and rival factions within the empire. Beatrice's presence during this period was vital, while her formal role in the imperial court diminished after Frederick's death. Her influence remained significant. She acted as an advisor to Henry, drawing on her decades of experience in navigating the complexities of imperial politics. Her guidance was particularly valuable in dealing with the Burgundian nobility, whose loyalty to the empire was often tenuous. Beatrice's connections to her homeland allowed her to act as a bridge between Burgundy and the broader Hohenstaufen realm, ensuring that the region remained a stronghold of support for her son. Despite her advancing age, Beatrice continued to play an active role in the empire's affairs. She worked to maintain the alliances that Frederick had forged during his reign, corresponding with nobles, clergy, and foreign leaders to reinforce the legitimacy of Henry's rule. Her efforts were not always met with success. Henry's reign was marked by frequent conflicts and rebellions, but her unwavering commitment to the dynasty provided a sense of continuity and stability. The final years of Beatrice's life were marked by both triumph and tragedy. She witnessed Henry's successful conquest of the Kingdom of Sicily in 1194, a campaign that greatly expanded the Hohenstaufen realm and secured his position as one of Europe's most powerful rulers. This victory was a testament to the strength and ambition that Beatrice had worked to instill in her son. And it was a moment of pride for the Empress who had devoted her life to her family and the empire. Yet, the triumphs were tempered by personal losses. The strains of empire building took a toll on Henry's health, and he died suddenly in 1197 at the age of 32, leaving his young son, Frederick II, as his heir. Beatrice, who had already endured the loss of her husband, now faced the devastating blow of losing her eldest son. Her grief was compounded by the uncertainty of Frederick II's future, as the child king's ascension was met with opposition from rival factions within the empire. Beatrice's final act of devotion was to safeguard the legacy of the Hohenstaufen dynasty for her grandson. Though her health was failing, she worked tirelessly to rally support for Frederick II, corresponding with allies and urging the princes of the empire to honor their oaths of loyalty. Her efforts were instrumental in ensuring that the young Frederick's claim to the throne was upheld, even in the face of considerable challenges. In 1184, shortly after her husband's death, Beatrice herself passed away, leaving behind a legacy of resilience, wisdom, and unwavering dedication to her family and the empire. She had been more than an empress. She had been a ruler in her own right, a mother who shaped the destiny of her children, and a woman whose influence extended far beyond the confines of her time. The empire mourned her passing, and her memory was honored in both Burgundy and the Holy Roman Empire. The Hohenstaufen dynasty she had worked so tirelessly to strengthen would continue to play a central role in European history, with her grandson Frederick II becoming one of the most remarkable rulers of the medieval world. Beatrice's life, marked by triumphs and sacrifices, remains a testament to the power of women in shaping the course of history. The passing of Beatrice of Burgundy in 1184 marked the end of an era, but her influence reverberated throughout the Holy Roman Empire, shaping the future of the Hohenstaufen dynasty. At the center of this legacy was her eldest son, Henry VI, who had inherited not only the throne but also the vision of unity and strength that his parents had tirelessly worked to achieve. Henry's reign as Holy Roman Emperor, 1191 to 1197, was marked by both remarkable successes and profound challenges, and in many ways, it was a continuation of the foundation that Beatrice and Frederick Barbarossa had laid. Henry VI, who had grown up under the careful tutelage of his mother and father, was a product of their combined efforts. From Beatrice, he had inherited a sense of diplomacy, pragmatism, and an understanding of the intricate dynamics of imperial politics. From Frederick, he had gained the ambition and military acumen necessary to lead the vast and complex Holy Roman Empire. As he ascended to the imperial throne, Henry faced the daunting task of consolidating his power and expanding the empire's reach. One of Henry's most significant achievements during his reign was the conquest of the Kingdom of Sicily. The marriage alliance between Henry and Constance of Sicily, arranged during Beatrice's lifetime, had provided the Hohenstaufens with a legitimate claim to the wealthy and strategically vital kingdom. However, securing this claim required military action, as rival factions in Sicily resisted Hohenstaufen rule. In 1194, Henry launched a campaign to enforce his authority, ultimately succeeding in bringing Sicily under imperial control. This victory was a testament to Henry's determination and skill, but it also reflected Beatrice's foresight in fostering alliances that would strengthen the dynasty. The addition of Sicily to the empire was a moment of triumph for the Hohenstaufen family. The kingdom's wealth and strategic location in the Mediterranean bolstered the empire's influence and connected it more directly to the broader politics of southern Europe and the Crusader states. For Henry, it was a vindication of the values and principles instilled in him by his mother. Beatrice had always emphasized the importance of unity and the need to balance diplomacy with strength. And these lessons were evident in Henry's approach to governance. Despite his successes, Henry's reign was fraught with challenges. The Holy Roman Empire was a patchwork of semi-autonomous territories, each ruled by princes who often prioritized their own interests over those of the emperor. Henry's efforts to centralize power and assert imperial authority met with resistance, particularly from the German nobility. The same qualities that had made Frederick Barbarossa a revered leader, his ability to command loyalty and inspire unity, were not as easily replicated by his son. Beatrice's influence on Henry during these turbulent times was still palpable. Even after her death, the political alliances she had helped to forge during her lifetime provided a foundation of stability that Henry could build upon. Her connections to Burgundy and her diplomatic efforts with the French and Burgundian nobility ensured that these regions remained loyal to the empire. Furthermore, her role in shaping Henry's early education and character gave him the tools he needed to navigate the complexities of imperial rule. As Henry's reign progressed, he faced increasing tensions with the papacy. The relationship between the Holy Roman Emperor and the Pope had always been fraught, and Henry's attempts to assert control over the Italian territories brought him into direct conflict with Pope Celestine III. These disputes were part of the broader struggle between secular and spiritual authority that had defined much of the medieval period. While Beatrice had always sought to balance the interests of the Church and the Empire, Henry's more aggressive approach strained these relationships. The final years of Henry's reign were marked by a mix of ambition and tragedy. In 1196, he attempted to make the imperial crown hereditary, a move that would have solidified the Hohenstaufen dynasty's hold on the throne. This proposal faced fierce opposition from the German princes, who feared losing their autonomy, although the plan ultimately failed. It reflected Henry's desire to fulfill his parents' vision of a unified and centralized empire. In 1197, at the height of his power, Henry VI's life was cut short by illness. His death at the age of 32 was a devastating blow to the Hohenstaufen dynasty and a personal tragedy for his family. Henry left behind a young son, Frederick II, who was only 3 years old at the time. The boy's claim to the throne was immediately contested, plunging the empire into a period of uncertainty and division. The death of Henry VI marked the end of a promising but short-lived reign. However, his legacy, and by extension, Beatrice's, endured through the achievements of his son. Frederick II would go on to become one of the most remarkable rulers of the medieval world, often referred to as the wonder of the world for his intellect, cultural patronage, and administrative reforms. Much of Frederick's success can be traced back to the groundwork laid by his grandparents, Beatrice and Frederick Barbarossa, and the values instilled in him by his father. Beatrice's legacy was not only carried forward through her descendants but also reflected in the broader history of the Holy Roman Empire. Her efforts to integrate Burgundy into the empire, her role in shaping the cultural and political life of the court, and her dedication to her family and the Hohenstaufen dynasty left an indelible mark on European history. Through Henry VI, her influence extended into the next generation, ensuring that the ideals she had championed, unity, stability, and resilience, remained at the heart of the empire. As the 12th century gave way to the 13th, the Holy Roman Empire continued to grapple with the challenges of governing a vast and diverse realm. Yet, the memory of Beatrice's contributions endured, a testament to her strength and vision. She had been more than an empress. She had been a mother, a stateswoman, and a symbol of continuity in an era of upheaval. Through her son Henry VI and her grandson Frederick II, the legacy of Beatrice of Burgundy lived on, shaping the destiny of Europe for generations to come. As the pages of history turned beyond the 12th century, The legacy of Beatrice of Burgundy continued to shape the Holy Roman Empire and the broader European world. Her life, marked by profound achievements and immense challenges, was a testament to the enduring influence of women in medieval politics. Even in an era where their contributions were often overshadowed by the deeds of kings and emperors, Beatrice's impact was felt not only in her time but in the centuries that followed. As the Hohenstaufen dynasty became synonymous with power, culture, and resilience, through her son Henry VI and her grandson Frederick II, Beatrice's vision for a strong and unified empire lived on. Frederick II, often hailed as the wonder of the world, Stupor Mundi, embodied the ideals that Beatrice had instilled in her family. His court in Sicily became a beacon of cultural and intellectual achievement, blending the traditions of the Latin, Greek, and Arab worlds. Frederick's legal reforms, administrative innovations, and patronage of the arts reflected the values of pragmatism and intellectual curiosity that Beatrice had championed during her life. Frederick's reign, however, was also marked by the same tensions that had defined the rule of his predecessors. The conflict between the empire and the papacy continued to dominate European politics, and Frederick's efforts to consolidate power brought him into direct confrontation with the Church. Yet, his ability to navigate these challenges owed much to the foundation laid by his grandmother. Beatrice's emphasis on diplomacy, cultural integration, and strategic alliances had set the stage for the empire's endurance. Even in the face of relentless opposition, the influence of Beatrice extended beyond the Hohenstaufen dynasty. Her role in integrating Burgundy into the Holy Roman Empire created a model for governance that balanced regional autonomy with imperial authority. Burgundy remained a vital part of the empire's fabric, its wealth and cultural vibrancy contributing to the empire's strength for generations. Beatrice's efforts to promote education, art, and trade in Burgundy not only enriched the region but also reinforced its ties to the broader imperial network. In the centuries that followed, the memory of Beatrice became intertwined with the legends of the Hohenstaufen dynasty. Chroniclers and historians, though often focused on the deeds of Frederick Barbarossa and his successors, occasionally highlighted the crucial role that Beatrice had played in shaping the empire's destiny. Her life served as a reminder that the success of the Hohenstaufen dynasty was not the result of one man's ambition, but the collective effort of a family united by a shared vision. Beatrice's story also offers a lens through which to understand the role of women in medieval Europe. As a duchess, an empress, and a mother, she navigated a world dominated by men, wielding influence through her intelligence, resilience, and dedication. Her ability to balance the demands of politics, family, and governance was extraordinary, and her legacy challenges the notion that women in the Middle Ages were merely passive figures in the background of history. In many ways, Beatrice's life represents the unsung contributions of countless women who shaped the medieval world in ways that often went unrecorded. Her achievements, however, stand as a testament to the power of perseverance and vision. Even in the face of immense challenges, she proved that leadership was not defined by the battlefield alone, but by the ability to inspire loyalty, foster unity, and create a lasting foundation for the future. As the Holy Roman Empire evolved in the centuries after Beatrice's death, the values she championed, stability, cultural enrichment, and strategic governance, remained central to its identity. The dynasty she helped to strengthen eventually came to an end, but its impact on European history was profound, and her legacy was an integral part of that story. Today, the memory of Beatrice of Burgundy endures as a symbol of quiet strength and transformative leadership. Her life was a bridge between worlds, between Burgundy and the Empire, between the feudal past and the centralized future, and between the often overlooked contributions of women and the grand narratives of history. Through her, we see that the medieval world was not solely defined by kings and warriors, but also by the women who stood beside them, shaping the course of history with equal determination and grace. The story of Beatrice concludes not with her death, but with the enduring legacy she left behind, a legacy carried forward by her children, her descendants, and the empire she helped to build. In the grand tapestry of European history, her thread shines brightly, a reminder that the impact of a single life can echo across centuries.